All right, my friends. Greetings and salutations. Hope you're ready for segment 2, part 2 of Thanksgiving every day. What up there, Marion Hughes, 78? Hope you're having a good night. Hoping you're staying warm out there. It's chilly Willy in Chicago. Actually, one second. Let's There we are. Now we can be nice and toasty. Yes, we can stay nice and warm. What up there, John Bethencourt? What up there, Tracy McDonald? What up there, Brian Hewlett? What up there, Gilbert T-Mac M238? What's going on? I hope you're having a good night. We're going to talk about everything across the board, but mainly we're going to talk about gratitude. Gratitude today, my friends. Gratitude. If you are an addict, if you are a veteran, if you are an addict, a veteran living in today's society, you might need a little bit of gratitude in your life. So, let's figure this out, figure out where we're at, and get down to it. Everybody can see that I'm joined here by my good old-fashioned therapy cat, Smudge. Hello, Smudgy Wudgy. For those of you on YouTube, you can see his tongue hanging out. People that are watching on YouTube, on TikTok, you can only see this. But hey, if you want to see a better view, going over to TikTok or YouTube. I'm Scott Gardner, having a good night. Hope you're having a good night. Hope you're staying warm. Hope you're going to stay nice and cozy on a night such as this here in Chicago. It's very chilly. Here we go, folks. Thanksgiving every day. We talked about gratitude yesterday. Gratitude, what up there, Coach Amber Dane? Yesterday we talked about gratitude, and today we're going to keep moving forward. Yesterday we talked about, sorry, one second. Oh no, the computer doesn't work with my gloves. That sucks. But, alright, gotta make sure we're in the right place. Segment 2 of Thanksgiving every day. Kinda blessed, kinda messed up. Look, the longer the night stretches across Chicago, the more honest everything becomes, right? Daytime lets people pretend, right? Daytime lets you stay distracted. But nighttime, especially a cold one, especially a cold, chilly night such as this in Chicago, well, it kind of has a way of peeling back those layers behind it, right? You know, the streets quiet down, the rhythm of traffic, it fades, right? And you can hear the soft hum of radiators. Does anybody live in the city? Anybody have radiators? The sound of tink-a-tink, tink-a-tink, radiate, 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 tink-a-tink, tink-a-tink, radiate, radiate, radiate. What up there, AJD74? Hoping you're having a good night. Hoping you're staying toasty on this beautiful Monday night. But somewhere in the quiet, right? Somewhere in the quiet night, we start to realize that we aren't who we were anymore, right? That part is clear. We are no longer the same people that we thought we used to be, that we were, that we identified as, right? We've changed over time. What up there, Paul Delgado? Hope you're having a good night. We've changed over time, right? And the issue is we are not yet the people that we're trying to be either. We're not yet the people that we're meant to be. We're definitely not the people that we're meant to be yet, right? But we're caught between the old world and the new one. We're caught between the old us and the new us that we want to be. We're caught between the old things we've done and the new things that we want to do, right? And you're holding gratitude in one hand and maybe grief in the other, maybe frustration in the other, maybe anger in the other, maybe jealousy, maybe greed, maybe any of these things out there that are going to push you away from other people and more into yourself, right? And, you're proud of yourself for one things, right? But frustrated at yourself at others. Anybody know that feeling when you want to be one thing, but you're feeling forced to be another, or you've almost forced yourself into a position of having to be a certain way, right? And that's the phase that most people don't talk about. That's the one that we're going to talk about tonight, right? The middle of recovery phase. People want to talk about, oh, I've got a bunch of years clean, I've got a bunch of years sober, okay. Or then there's people that have like, oh, I only have this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. Where's the growth actually happen? How does the change actually become something that happens, right? And this place that the change actually happens, well, it's a place where you feel kind of blessed, but you feel kind of messed up at the same time, right? It's uncomfortable, it's confusing, but it's also necessary. It's necessary, my friends, to change, right? And to ground this segment, of course, we're going to return to a reading that refuses to let you hide behind excuses. Here we go, folks. A&A 12 and 12, right? Step 10. Every time we are disturbed, no matter what the cause, there is something wrong in us, right? What up there, Irishman? Hope you're having a good night. This sentence hits hard when you read it at first, of course, right? It almost sounds accusatory. It almost sounds like, oh, I'm something is wrong with you, right? You're disturbed. You're messed in the head. Oh, and if you're disturbed, then it's your fault, right? Look, you need to look deeper into this meaning because it's far more useful than it is harsh, of course. Step 10 is the emotional maintenance step, right? It teaches you to pay attention to your inner reactions, right? It teaches you to make sure that your inner actions grow into something that's manageable. Because if you can't manage the feelings that are coming out, then basically you're back at the spot that you were in the first place. Isn't that right, Jeff? Hope you're having a great night. You know, addressing things early, of course, before the snow turns to ice, before the sidewalks become dangerous, right? You know what I'm saying? You go out there, put a little salt down on the sidewalks. All these fucking idiots out there, they know snow's coming, but they don't put salt on the sidewalks. All the fucking people out there know that you're going to drink if you don't do something about it, if you don't build some community, if you don't go to a meeting, if you don't find someone to help support you, right? And recovery is not about preventing disturbance. People, what up there, Lucas Lubick? What up there, Greg McFarland? I tell you this, we are disturbed. Everybody is fucking disturbed. Everybody is nuts. Everybody's loopy. Everybody's crazy. Everybody is insane in their own special way. The key is to understanding what insane actions you do and how bad they're going to affect your life and finding a way to change them before they fuck your life up too much, right? What up there, Ronald Bubba 6? Hope you're having a great night. And life is still going to happen. Life will happen, friends. Life is going to happen. Stress will show up. Your emotions will still shift like lake effect wind. Your emotions will still make you go loopy-doopy and fucking get angry at people and get mad at people and be irritable and be discontent. But step 10 is about recognizing the disturbance inside of us before it blinds us or stops outright our own progress. And I say blinds us from our own progress because a lot of us don't see the progress we're in because we've been conditioned to be like, oh, look, I'm not perfect, I'm not 100%, I'm not the best at everything, so it means I'm failing, right? And that's true. Everybody feels that way at some point because society's told us that is the case. And then you got the people on the other side saying, oh, everybody and everything you do is acceptable and never say no and yes, 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 everything is this. It's like, dude, no. You got to have some discipline in there. You got to have a little bit of rules. You got to have some structure. You got to have some laws. You got to have some base yes, no's. There are some things that are black and white, but there's a lot of things that we say are black and white that are not, right? That aren't all or nothing, that are not beginning to the end, that are not death and life, but we think they are. What up there, Raw? Hope you're having a good night. Hoping you're having a good time on this beautiful Chicago evening. And this is exactly where space segment 2 is going to live. So let's say it plainly, folks. Life does not stop being chaotic just because you're working on yourself. Life is not going to just stand by and let you have some time to get better. No, you need to get better in the midst of things, right? You can't be like, oh, I just need to get this taken care of, and then I can start my life. Oh, I just need to do this, and then I can, then I can get going on my life. No, 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 friends, you're already in your life, and it's already going. Your key is to redirect it back to where it needs to be going. You need to find your purpose. You need to find your role in the world. You need to find your good place, right? Memories still hit us when we least expected. We still have dreams when we thought we were over certain things. Disappointment, of course, still sneaks into our chest, quiet nights. Anxiety, thinking about things over and over again, worrying nonstop about things. Even gratitude can feel heavy when you're carrying old wounds, when you're carrying trauma, when you're carrying dangerous, damaging, emotional things that hurt you, right? But recovery, it gives us that new responsibility. We talked about responsibility is not a negative word. A lot of us are afraid of the R word, right? Responsibility. To notice what's happening inside of us before we hand the keys, of course, back to our old habits. Before we slip back into our dysfunction, before we fall back in old habits that we swore we weren't going to do anymore, right? Look, it's the saying, of course, you can't control the wind, but you can protect your fire. And that's right, folks. And what does that mean for us tonight in this quiet stretch of cold Chicago? You are allowed to admit something that most people do not say out loud. Ready? I'm doing better, but I'm not all the way okay. And that's not a failure, right? So if you are just one person who can hear this message, what up there, Don? What up there, my friends? Hope you're having a great night. If there's one person that can be helped by a good message that you have, then you've served a purpose in that sense, right? But that doesn't mean you stop. You're like, oh, I've reached this person, so now I'm good. I've helped this. No, then you move forward and help someone else. And then that person helps someone else. But then, my friends, folks, is you're not allowed. Well, I mean, you can, of course, but I would say that I would highly suggest that you do not help somebody that can help you back, right? That's not the whole point of helping someone. What up there, Blacksmith 13? Hope you're having a great night. The point of helping somebody is helping them, right? If you give someone money, right? You say you give somebody money as a gift or as a whatever the fuck you want to give it for, unless you're like give it to a loan but you like stipulate this money is for this, right? This money is for this. But then once you give it to somebody, you can't be like, oh, hey, what'd you do with that? Or be like, oh, I'm judging you because of what you've done with it. No, no, no. You can't be given strings with anything, no strings attached to anything that you give to people, my friends. And it's not an easy thing to do. That's why I'm not saying, oh, it's so easy to do, just do it, right? No, no, no. It's something to strive toward doing. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it, right? But segment 2, of course, is where we're going to honor the middle ground, the growth ground, the growth where you're doing good but can still be doing better, right? Where we recognize that gratitude and struggle can exist in the same breath without canceling each other out. Some key terms for us, folks. The in-between zone, the emotional space where you're far from the life that you expected, but you're still building the life that you're trying to earn. Because, my friends, we can be expecting and hoping and needing and wanting things, but we have to earn anything that we get, right? If we want it to have any kind of meaning, substance, or longevity, right? That means we can't be giving things to people for free over and over and over again and then be like, oh, why did you not try to do something better for yourself? What up there, Jesse? Hope you're having a good night. Hope you're having a warm night on this cold night outside. Fear, insecurity, doubt, guilt, loneliness, they do not mean you are ungrateful. They mean you're human. Say it to you also, folks, on YouTube. It means you are human. If you have fear, if you have insecurity, if you have doubt, if you have guilt, if you have loneliness, it just means that you are a human. It doesn't mean that you are failing at humanity. It doesn't mean that you need to be different and over the top crazy, right? quiet progress, the small victories that you barely notice, right? We preach incremental change here on Devil Dog Addiction. Incremental change, Thanksgiving, and incremental change. Yes, over and over and over again, if we do little things and work harder, we will get better and better and better at them. Showing up when you're tired, going to a meeting when you don't want to, picking up the phone when everything on the inside says, I don't want to pick up the phone. What up there, Terror Ward 355? Hope you're having a great night. Hope you're having a warm night on this cold Chicago evening. Quiet progress, my friends, is still progress. Emotional truth, here it comes. One thing Chicago teaches you is that survival often happens in the smallest details, right? People imagine big breakthroughs, people imagine big transformations, big dramatic moments, but in reality, well, especially for people in recovery, it's far more subtle, right? City's homelessness, of course, we said, 771,000 people in the U.S. living without shelter on any given night. We said that earlier, right? Thousands of them in cities. Far harsher than this. But if you've walked downtown late at night, you've seen people keeping warm through sheer will. You've seen blankets spread over grates. You've seen makeshift homes under viaducts and bridges. You do not have to go on the internet. You do not have to go into statistic logbooks. You do not have to look at studies. You do not have to do anything but read the newspapers or look outside as you walk around the streets, right? People are in need. And if you are on this night not out there, if you're indoors, if you are seeing this, well, if you're sober, of course, you're rebuilding, right? And that's not luck. That's not coincidence. That is part blessing, part work, part grace. But here's the real truth. Being indoors doesn't instantly erase the weather inside you, right? You might be able to get outside from the cold, but the cold is still stuck. The cold still has a grip. And we need to use our warmth. We need to get some warmth. We need to get some warmth from our community, from each other, from sobriety, from our fellowship, that you can be healing and still feel the ghost of old chaos following behind you. No, that's not the ghost of Christmas past. It's the ghost of chaos past. Yes, and that is the in-between zone. The weathered soul, my friends, is that sometimes blessings do not show up warm. Some blessings don't look like gifts. Some blessings are even disguised as consequences, right? A DUI that forces change. A breakup that pushes you toward accountability. The resentment that revealed your old wounds and allowed them to heal. The rock bottom night that stripped away all blankets of bullshit humanity and denial and put you on the path toward growth, change, and enlightenment. None of these felt like blessings at the time, right? But in reality, they were doors. They were doors to something better. Doors that could turn into something good or turn into something far worse. These are the whys in our road, the forks in our roads of life that we all need to choose, that have drastic consequences or drastic rewards, right? Where you realize you're thankful not just for the soft things, right? You're thankful, oh, I'm thankful for this sweatshirt. I'm thankful for this blanket. I'm thankful for, come on, get the fuck out of here. I'm talking about the moments that basically broke you open enough to allow you to heal. And healing needs to take root deep down where the pain is. So if you aren't allowing yourself to go back to some of this shit that built some of this pain, you're never going to find future clarity. You're never going to find future peace or balance. And yeah, it sucks, and I hate to say it. A lot of people don't want to just say the hard truth to people and be like, look, you're going to have to go through some fucking hard times to get through this hard fucking position that you have put yourself in, or that someone else has put you in, or that the world, just being a fucking broken, scary place that's existed for a long time before anybody that lives got here, right? We've all inherited this world of craziness, and we're all just trying to get through it, right? So being able to go back and have some clarity, and some clarity through gratitude, because gratitude allows growth, and growth allows evolution, and evolution will lead you to enlightenment, basically, right? That's the idea. And science backs the emotional truth of this. Grateful people in recovery have relapse rates much lower than people who do not express gratitude. Hey, JB, what's up, man? Frank Mulham, hope you're having a great night. They think more clearly, right? Their cravings decrease. Their decision making improves. Their brain rewires faster. Gratitude is not a smile. It's a tool. It's a lifeline. It's a compass. It's a stabilizer, friends. It's a shelter on a cold night, right? No, but even the nights where your heart feels confused. Look, that's basically where segment 2 leaves us, right? Segment 2 was the Empire Strikes Back of tonight's episode. What up there, David Ensler? JB, my man, my man. Hope you're having a great night. Yeah, in Florida, I'm sure it's pretty nice and warm and toasty, but up here in Chicago, it is a blizzard outside. You're allowed to carry emotions that contradict each other. Two things are allowed to exist at the same time. You're allowed to look at your life and see both progress and see tension. You're allowed to be proud of yourself, even if you're learning how to trust yourself, right? This middle space is not a setback, right? It's a stage. It's a stage for where you need to be. It's a stage for what's coming forward. Not a stage as in like a stage to act upon. A stage is in something that you put there to build upon. It's like the next level up. So hey, no matter how cold the night gets, friends, you are here. You are present. You are awake. You are surviving. Yes, and that alone is evidence of growth. So it's time to turn over to segment 3, folks. And as the storm keeps brushing against our windows, because it's storming like a motherfucker outside, it's time to settle deep into this room. It's time to understand that growth comes with community, and where thank you needs to become a lifestyle. And recovery is not just something that happens in the rooms of AA and NA or hospital rooms or psych wards. Yeah, it happens there, of course, but it happens out in the world of addiction. Just like healing happens in a world of, sin and pain, right? In a world of perfection and all out righteousness, you don't need saving, right? So at this hour, of course, in Chicago, the city, it feels wrapped in its own sort of blanket, right? Not warm, not soft, but heavy in a way that makes everything slower and more honest, right? The streets glisten with a thin sheet of ice. The street lights ricochet off the soft blanket of snow that has not yet been disturbed by the muck in the streets. And somewhere in the distance, a late train hums toward a station where someone is probably standing alone on a platform, pressing that little button, trying to keep the platform heater warm, but it's too high up, so they have to stand on a bench and put their hands up on the thing, and then you get real tired. You're like, fuck, I don't want to put my hands like this the whole time, and then you either have cold hands or sore arms. I tell you this, folks, that is a Chicago problem there, folks. And somewhere in the distance, people are cold. But wait, they hear some truth. They hear some truth to what we're talking about, and it warms them up. It warms their cockles, folks. Yes, we told you yesterday that thankfulness and gratitude will warm your cockles. And yes, everybody has cockles. Men, women, and everybody in between and on the outside. Everyone has cockles. And so on a night where you stop thinking about what you post online and start facing what you carry inside, right? It's time to start segment 3. Folks, and that's where it begins, in this quiet, unfiltered space where recovery becomes less about, what you say and more about what you do. Segment 1, of course, reminded us that gratitude is often found in the small, quiet blessings that appear in the aftermath of chaos. Segment 2 showered us with the uncomfortable in-between space where growth happens, and we need to go from one thing to another, but that change zone is uncomfortable and icky. Now segment 3 asks a question that every recovering person eventually has to answer. How do you prove your thanks? How do you prove your regrets and I'm sorries and I'm sads and I wish I didn't and I wish I hadn't, and I'm so sad and upset and bad and mad and hateful at myself that I did, right? How often do we hurt ourselves and hate ourselves the most because of what we've done or because of what the world has done to us? But it's not time to just show our thanks. It's time to prove it. Not perform it, not talk about it, prove it. And once again, we ground ourselves in the wisdom that has built the foundation of millions of successful recoveries. And when I say successful recoveries, I mean people that got sober and stayed sober until they died, right? And that is a successful recovery, my friends. And that is when you have successfully recovered. And the responsibilities that we accept along the way, that's how we express gratitude. This one is the most misunderstood concept in recovery, folks. People hear amends, and they think apology. They think, oh, you got to find all the people that you've hurt, go find them and just say, I'm sorry. They think you fix the past by explaining what was going on in your life when you did it. You say, oh, you know, this is why I did this, so maybe you should understand why I've done it. Right? But that is not amends, okay? That's an apology. That's a half-assed one at that. But living amends are not about revisiting what we've broken either, right? They're about rebuilding who we are in a better sense of who we need to be so we don't do these things again, right? They're not about speaking beautifully. They're not. I know that I'm pretty good at throwing some verbal linguistics around, but that it does not make a good recovery person. That does not make a good solid life. Just because you can sound good, just because you can sound fancy, just because you say big elaborate things, or maybe even if you have a bunch of things, maybe you have a bunch of money and you like to throw that around and show that. Yeah, oh look, I have all this and all that and all this. But that is not about living amends. Just because you've not drank and now you've got a bunch of money and you want to like try to make it up by buying things for people. No. You have to rebuild who you are deep down inside and out. And that happens by showing up consistently. It happens by being level, balanced, even across the board, on the right track, right? They're about repairing, right, yourself, not about repairing old scenes, not trying to go back in history and make a scene right. Well, this reading, of course, points us to the truth that Chicago winters reinforce every year. If you don't tend to your responsibilities regularly, look, you don't just deal with problems, right? You deal with the accumulated weight of neglected problems, right? So we have all these neglected problems that we haven't addressed, right? And this is spiritual snow removal, folks. Because if you have just the snow of your life that goes down and you never sweep it away or you never put salt down on the sidewalks of your life, you are going to have a lot of broken ankles, friends. And avoidance becomes chaos, especially if you avoid snowy streets. Come on, procrastination becomes relapse, and living amends are the way we take responsibility for our future without drowning in our past. Yes, and that, my friends, is the way that we got to do it, because if this reading spoke in Chicago's late night voice, it would say, you can't talk your way into being the person you're trying to become. You have to live your way into it. You have to live your way into the person you want to be. You have to be who you want to be in order to be who you want to be. And your gratitude is not the warmth in your chest, but it's the motor behind the consistency in your behavior. It's not the apology that feels emotional in the moment, no, but the discipline that follows afterwards, right? People can say a big thing, what up there, cheeseburger? Hope you're having a cheeseburger night. And that's the tone of this reading. It invites you to become the living evidence of your own gratitude. And what does this mean for us? Well, tonight's segment is about transformation that happens in steps so small that most people never notice them. The transformation from your third time in rehab to your fourth time in rehab. Your transformation from your sixth time in rehab to your seventh time in rehab, right? The way that you manage your emotions, the routines you keep even when you do not want to. when you do things when you don't want to do them because you know that they're right, and that's why you still do them, that builds resilience. That builds honesty, that builds practice, and that builds discipline. The honesty that you practice, the stability that we've built, the choices you make after midnight when nobody's watching, that's what creates goodness in your souls, folks. And gratitude is not a holiday glow. Gratitude is not something that you get only around the holidays, my friends. It is a discipline. It is a lifestyle. It is a structure that you build around your life so storms don't knock you all around, so winds of the world don't come along and just blow you off path. So when snows of life come in and put a little bristling of powder on your door stoop, you don't walk outside and slip on your back and break your fucking neck and die, right? Because it happens to people, folks. People don't put sidewalk salt down and people die. In a city like this, where the wind can cut through you in seconds and even knock you over, you learn that warmth is something you maintain, not something you stumble into. And that, my friends, is the essence of proving your thanks and your sorries. So, living amends, a long-term process of becoming a healthier, safer, more reliable version of yourself, not through speeches, but through patterns, but through doing things over and over again positively, so it positively affects you, giving you the ability to do them over and over again. Action-based gratitude. When gratitude shifts from emotion into routine, when it goes from a hardcore choice where you're like, oh man, I really need to do this, I really need to do this, I really need to do this. Hey, I'm doing it. Hey, I'm having fun doing it. Hey, I'm doing it pretty good. Hey, now I'm teaching other people how to do it. Right? That's the idea of it, right? So, recovery responsibility, the commitment to managing your own behavior so you don't have to hand your life back to the chaos that we tried so hard to escape. Because, friends, once you finally get out of this chaos, there's nothing worse than slipping up on something because you did not maintain your sobriety, you did not maintain your emotional well-being, you did not maintain your spiritual well-being, you did not maintain your emotional, mental, spiritual, and your soulful well-being, right, folks? So it's time to make some personal responsibility. So take a slow look at Chicago, right? Look at the viaducts in the wintertime. Look at the parks during the dead of winter. There are tents up. People are living outside right now in Chicago. Thinking about that I'm not telling people what emotions should do. What it makes me feel is it makes me feel like I'm going to cry. But not for the people who choose to be out there, not for the people who have fucked up and continue to fuck up and don't want help and are stuck in there, whatever they're stuck in. It's for the people that are in a place that want to do better, that are trying to do better, but they keep getting fucked over by the system, by the world, by their own past choices, right? Because people can be in a situation because of what they've done to themselves. But if someone has done something to themselves, but they honestly want to get better and they want to get out of it and they're willing to try hard now, then I have their back, right? And until they fucking betray me and, give me a reason to discount them or a reason to mistrust them or a reason to not give them the benefit of the doubt, I will be giving humanity the benefit of the doubt. And yes, some people may laugh at that. Some people may call that cynic. Some people may call that naive. Some people may call that silly. Some people may even call that the highest stupidity of the grandest regard. But I, my friends, choose to see the glass of humanity as half full instead of half empty. And if you can try to do that on a day-to-day basis, it will help you gain some power over your life. What up there, Not David? Hope you're having a great night. Thousands of people are trying to stay alive on the Chicago streets, right? But they turn brutal once these temperatures dip. And this is not a speech about helping people on the streets in Chicago. That is a secondary part of this, right? But mainly I'm saying, instead of saying, oh, what a bad state they are in, let's think to ourselves, wow, what a good state we are in, right? Or I am in right now. I'm in a state that I can grow. I'm in a state that I can build upon myself, right? We are thinking clearly enough to reflect, right? We're feeling enough emotions to care about something that's not just us, right? We're feeling stable enough to listen to to ourselves about our own lives, because a lot of times we have these bad ideas about what our own life should be, or we have these notions that we're failing, or these notions that we're bad, these notions that we're horrible, even though what we've been through is by no fault of our own, right? And yes, I'm sure that we've all made bad choices and mistakes and that have caused drastic consequences in our lives, some more than others, but a lot of people are just trying to do better. And those are the people that this message is for, and those are the people that this message can help, and those are the people that want to help themselves. And anybody that's willing to help themselves, I say, hey, we should support those people. And that, my friends, is not small. It's not random. A call to honor, second chances that we've been given, that other people should be given to. Because many people worked hard for us, right? Many people worked hard for me to maintain this sobriety. Many people, my sobriety is not just the actions of me. You say, oh, you get sober for yourself. Yeah, you may get sober for yourself in the end, but that you don't get sober only by yourself, right? So parents worry, right? Friends defend us. People pray for us. People we do not know pray for us. People hope for us. People we do not know hope for us. I hope for you. I do not know people that this video will come across. Hopefully anybody that sees this can reach out to me and I will reach out back. But you don't put something out there thinking, oh, this is going to fix the world or this is going to save someone's life. You put things out there because you hope that this could help someone. You hope that maybe what you do could fix the world, because things will only get better when people try to make things better. And people only try to make things better when they believe things can be better. And if we convince people that things are bad and they'll never get better and they've always been bad and they're just going to be this way forever, first off, what the fuck good does that solve? But on a deeper level, that's such a negative, pessimistic way of looking at humanity. You can't help but feel like shit if you're going around saying that shit all day, right? If you're feeling that at the center of your core about like humanity as a whole, right? And then if there's people that have never even thought about that type of thing, then they're going to feel super negative and narcissistic anyway. Because until you start to think about things that are greater than yourself, you're not going to think about things that are greater than yourself. What about their O3 Sophie? Speaking of Sophie's choice, we're going to talk about you can choose to be different. You can choose to be better. You can choose to be a different, better version of yourself, right? But how do you get that way? Well, we're going to find out. This is the deeper shift, the time after the change where change turns into something you can see. Not a mood, not a holiday sentiment. Not something you only feel when things are going well, right? It becomes a way that you show up. Every time you tell the truth when a lie would be easier, it becomes easier to tell the truth and a lie becomes harder. Every time you keep a commitment that you once would have broken, every time a decision or a situation comes along that used to be hard, used to be something negative, that is now positive, because you have learned how to deal with situations in a positive manner, in a healthy manner, in a way that you used to do them in that baffles you at the time, right? That is gratitude, friends. That's deep gratitude, and that is proving your thanks. So here we are, folks, late at night, the city slowing down, the storm drifting in the street lamps, the powder sprays past your window. This episode, my friends, was not about Thanksgiving Day. It was not about a holiday. It's not about holiday traditions. It's not about Friendsgiving or Vetsgiving or Thanksgiving with turkey. It's not about rehearsed gratitude. It's not about going around the table and everybody saying something they're grateful for. It's surely not for polite speeches and politically correct bullshit. It's about the kind of gratitude that keeps you alive. It's about the kind that stays after the long holiday ends, the kind that sits with you on cold nights, right, and whispers, look how far you've come. Look at how different you are than what you were when you were doing the things that you knew and know now were bad. Segment 1 taught us to look at the overlooked blessings, of course, right? The warmth, the safety, the breath in our lungs, the healthy chart that we may have at the doctor's, right? Segment 2 allowed us to stand inside the mess because change is messy. You got to break some eggs to make some omelets, right? Or you got to break some eggs to make some cake. You know, you got to break your insides to get deep enough to get to that broken area where all the shit is from, where all the trauma is from, that horrible little place inside you. You got to get in there, you got to open it, you got to make it raw, and you got to address it, you got to heal with it, you got to talk about it, you got to fix it, you got to do what the fuck you need to do to get over it so you can build better way forward, friends, and you'll be healthier than you were, because segment 3 brought us here to the place where gratitude becomes behavior, where thanksgiving becomes daily. And that's it, my friends, is that Thanksgiving every day. It's gratitude 101 for addicts, my friends. Segment 3 brought us to this place, and here's a truth that closes the entire episode. Thanksgiving once a year is a tradition, okay? Thanksgiving every day is transformation. You don't have to be perfect to be grateful. You don't have to be healed to be worthy. You know that, folks. You don't have to be finished at life to be living amends. You just have to keep tending to that fire in your soul, folks. You got to keep tending to that fire of gratitude. So you just got to stay in the fight, right? And you got to keep choosing life and keep choosing coming back. Because if you keep coming back and you are honest, healing is just around the corner. So this has been a very addict Thanksgiving. Gratitude for Addicts 101. If you woke up today, my friends, and you're ending the night sober enough to hear your own heart, well, then you already have something to be thankful for. I'm Nick. This has been Double Dog Addiction, a very addict Thanksgiving. I bless you all. I hope you all have blessings, and I hope you all have a very warm and very safe Chicago night.